this is Reggie from Nintendo. Before we begin, we want to extend our condolences to all the victims of the two tragic events in Orlando. Our thoughts are with their families and their communities. And this includes Christina Grimmie, who was killed in the earlier incident and was scheduled to visit us here at our E3 booth this week. At Nintendo, we try to make our fans smile. But this week at E3, we'll also be shedding a few tears. Please join me in a moment of silence. If you've been a fan of Nintendo over the years, you'll know that the Nintendo experience is different at every E3. We always look for the best way to introduce our most important content. And this year is no different. And that's why we're coming to you directly from our show booth on the set of Nintendo Treehouse Live. On the other side of the wall behind me, the finishing touches are being made before we open it up to thousands of industry insiders in just a couple of hours. That space will immerse visitors in the world of a single game, the newest entry in the Legend of Zelda franchise. What's in store is an entirely new format for a Zelda game. 3 decades ago, the first Zelda game changed the way millions of people thought about video games. And this week, you'll discover a game that could change that thinking again. Here's the first look at what awaits.
Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Wake up, Link.
The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild introduces you to a Hyrule that is truly seamless, where simply moving from one place to another begins to create what may be the adventure of a lifetime. And not only is this new world vast, but it feels alive. It teems with adventure. Throughout Link's quest, Hyrule will be a resource, an ally, an enemy, and always a place for discovery and wonder. This is easily one of the biggest experiences ever created by Nintendo. And today, you're going to get a close-up look. The portion of the game we're highlighting at E3, a wide-ranging plateau, may seem huge. In fact, no one here this week will be able to explore all of it. But even then, that plateau is only a tiny fraction of the full game map. We'll be devoting almost this full first day of Nintendo Treehouse Live coverage to just this one environment. Then, in the future, you'll learn more about the story, the characters, and the ways in which the boundaries of all previous Zelda titles are being broken. But in the end, full understanding and full immersion will only come when you experience it for yourself. However, before we show you this biggest adventure for Wii U and NX, we're going to show you the biggest new adventure coming up for Nintendo 3DS. As you've heard, there are two new core Pokemon titles on the way on November 18th, Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. As always, you'll pick which new starter Pokemon to partner with. But which one to choose? Exactly what kind of battling awaits you? And what does the new Alola region have in store for players? Well, we figured there was no one better equipped to answer those questions than the two key developers of the game itself, producer Junichi Matsuda and director Shigeru Omori of Game Freak. So before we devote the rest of the day to The Legend of Zelda, I'm going to turn it over to the Treehouse team, along with Mr. Matsuda and Mr. Omori, to show you what it's like to start as a Pokemon trainer in the first ever live gameplay demonstration of Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. So let's jump in. Take it away, Sam and Terry.
Thanks, Reggie. And thanks to everyone watching for tuning in and joining us for another Nintendo Treehouse Live at E3. We're really excited to get started. So as Reggie mentioned, I'm Sam from Nintendo, and joining me up here, I've got Terry from Nintendo and my colleague David from TPCI. And we've also got our very special guests, Masuda-san and Omori-san from Game Freak, who are joining us to chat about Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. Now, Pokemon fans already know that you guys have a very long history of working with the Pokemon franchise, but could you tell our viewers a little bit more about what you guys are doing specifically with Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon?
2人ともポケモンの開発に関わってすごく歴史は長いんですけれども、今回のポケモンサンとポケモンムーンでの役割について教えてもらえますか？
そうですね。今年ポケモンが20周年ということで、ここから先のポケモン、未来に向けてのポケモンということで、私はプロデュースに徹して、今回茂大森が、ディレクターという新しい体制で取り組みました。
So this is the 20th anniversary of Pokemon, as I think many of you know. And when thinking about the future of Pokemon, I've decided that I would be the producer on this title, and pass over the director role over to Shigeru Omori here for Pokemon Sun and Moon.
今回、ポケットモンスターサンムーンの、ディレクターをしました大森と申します。今回はディレクターとして開発全体に携わりました。
So I'm Shigeru Omori from Game Freak, and I was the director on this game, overseeing the entire development of it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I know you brought some art assets that we can take a look at to introduce folks to the Pokemon Moon, Pokemon Sun collection. But first, we've actually got some video footage that you brought for us. So folks watching, if you sit tight, we're actually going to get that queued up for you so you can take a look. All right, so there's a lot for us to talk about just from the footage there. The first thing I'd like to actually ask you is if you could tell us a little bit more about the background of why you went with Sun and Moon as the titles for these games.
今の映像で結構話す内容というのが出てきたんですけれども、
はい
まずはそうですね、サンとムーンのタイトルについて、由来をちょっと教えてもらえますか。
はい。私たちの住んでいるこの地球っていうところには生き物がたくさんいるわけですけども、その中で、その生き物に対してとても影響がある、そのコアとなっているものっていうのはやっぱり太陽と月っていうのは非常に大切なものだと思うんですね。で今回はその、生命を、より魅力的に見せていきたいっていう思いもあって、その一番影響のあるもの、サンとムーンっていうのをタイトルにしました。
So there's a variety of meanings behind the titles, but one of the main things is that, for example, for here on Earth, obviously, the sun really is the source of all life on this planet, and in the same way in the Pokemon world, it's also the source of life on the planet, and the moon also affects all of our lives here as well. And with this game, we really wanted to express this kind of feeling of a region really teeming with life, so we felt that Sun and Moon would be an appropriate title for the games.
I think especially thinking about these big elemental forces, sun and the moon, we also need to talk about those legendaries that are on the packaging, because I think folks are going to really want to hear a little bit more about what they can expect from those Pokemon.
そういう太陽と月の存在の多分表しにもなってるんじゃないかなと思うんですけども、このかっこいい伝説のポケモンについて、話してもらえますか。
そうですね。サンに出てくる、ソルガレオっていうのは太陽の使者で、ムーンの方のルナーラは月の使者として伝えられているんですけども、今まで、以上に物語自体にかなり、関係してくる2匹になりますので、楽しみにしていてほしいなと思います。
So in the games, the legends say that Solgaleo and Lunala are the emissaries of the sun and the moon, respectively. And these two legendary Pokemon actually, they kind of play a unique role. They tie into the story in a unique way that we really haven't done with pairs of legendary Pokemon before. So I think fans will be really excited about it.
I think there's a really interesting spiritual element that we get in these games. I won't talk about that too much yet because I know we're saving some surprises. But on the subject of legendaries, I know you recently had an event in Taiwan where you revealed some news about another legendary Pokemon folks remember from XY and what they might expect from that Pokemon in these games. We can maybe talk about that a little bit too.
ちょっと伝説ポケモンの話で、先日ちょっと台湾で、ちょっと、XY に登場した伝説ポケモンについてのニュースっていうのをちょっと発表されたと思うんですけれども、それちょっと話してもらえますか。
そうですね。いよいよ10% ジガルデとパーフェクトジガルデが、サンムーンに登場するというお知らせが、出ましたけども、今回このジガルデも活躍するっていうのが、ポイントかなと思います。
So Zygarde, the Pokemon that one of the legendary Pokemon that appeared in originally in Pokemon X and Y. It just recently showed off their the 10% form and complete form in the games, and these Pokemon these forms will appear in Pokemon Sun and Moon, kind of in a special way that I think people will be excited about.
They look so cool. And actually, here, since we're looking at a little bit of the Alola region in the background, this is probably a good chance to talk maybe in a little bit more detail about the Alola region and what players can maybe expect there.
あと今回冒険の舞台となるそのアローラ地方について、これどんな地方なのかっていうのをちょっと教えてもらえますか。
そうですね。今回のアローラ地方なんですけども、他の陸地とつながっていない、地方となっています。なので、アローラ地方固有のポケモンが住んでいます。アローラ地方っていう名前なんですけども、名前の由来としては、命を育んで、命を育み生命力にあふれる大地という意味を込めてこの名前にしました。
So the Alola region, as you can see, it's made up these 4 islands. It has a man-made island as well, but it's really this region that's just like teeming with life, and that's actually behind the name of the region itself. We have this meaning of kind of region like a miraculous region overflowing with this life force that can support all this different life. And
yeah, I think it's really interesting since it's not connected to any of the other regions. You've got this really interesting area of isolation, and we're seeing all these Pokemon that nobody's ever run into before, and it's almost kind of feels like the Galapagos Islands, where you've got this really interesting remote area where all these other creatures are popping up, and you've got new Pokemon and a really cool environment as well to explore.
陸地とつながってないの、他の大陸とつながってないので、やっぱこういろんな、変わった、生命が、たくさん登場するんじゃないかなっていうふうには思ってるんですけども、そうですね。
そうですね。期待しててください。
Yeah, I think people will be surprised. There's some cool things to see in the.
There, I've been playing it at work and I'm very excited to get a look at it.
会社でちょっと遊んでるんですけど、やっぱこうすごい楽しみにできるものは多いと思います。はい。
And actually, since we're talking about new Pokemon, is there anything more that you can tell our viewers about the 3 starters that they'll be choosing from in this game?
今回の最初のパートナーとなる、3体のポケモンなんですけれども、これに、この3体について教えてもらえますか？
そうですね。もうどの3体ももう可愛いんですけども、今回特に動きについてすごく意識して作ってまして、バトル中だったりとか、いろんな時にこう動きが可愛くなるようなデザインとして作られています。はい。
So of course they're all very cute, but one of the things they're really focused on with these 3 in particular is making their movements really cute when they're represented in the game. Like for example, in battle and other parts in the game, you see them moving around, and they're really cute. Kind of make you want to reach out and touch them almost.
あとやっぱりこう世界中の人が見て、こう分かりやすい、デザインであったりとか、タイプのカラー、草タイプだったらグリーンが入っていたりとかっていうその分かりやすさっていうのをやっぱり最初の3匹は大事にしています。
And another thing we always pay attention to with, or really focus on with the initial Pokemon that you choose for your partner, is making them kind of universally relatable, so people from around the world will be able to look at these Pokemon and relate with them very easily, and also very easy to understand. Like for example, the Grass-type Pokemon is going to be green, obviously, so being careful with the colors.
I think what folks have seen already from the animations that we've shown in a little bit of video footage we've been able to share, they have a lot of personality. I actually picked Poplio because I'm a hardcore water starter fan. My first was a Squirtle, and I've stuck with them. But I've been having a great time so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing what other folks pick when they get into the starters as well.
最初ゼニガメ選んだので、水タイプのこの足回りを絶対今回
いいですね。
どれもすごい個性的なので悩むんじゃないかなと思います。
And it's interesting actually what you talked about with the design of the starter Pokemon. And I think they also really fit nicely in with the kind of tropical climate and environment we've got. And I know that's something that you worked in with the design of the player characters as well this time around.
今回南の国っていうような設定になってて、アニメのポケモンもすごくそれに合ってる感じだと思うんですけど、今回の主人公のデザインもやっぱそれを意識されている部分ありますか？
そうですね。やっぱり暖かい国っていうのを表現する、地方ですね、表現するためにかなり軽装にしています。
So yeah, obviously the region this time, the climate there is extremely warm, so we wanted to make sure that the characters, the designs were more lightly dressed than maybe other designs have in the past.
And I think fans will notice the proportions are different, especially when we get into gameplay in a couple seconds here. They're going to see it's a little different how they're used to seeing their characters in the game.
あと今回ちょっとこの後キープレイを見せるんですけれども、ちょっとあれですね、頭身がちょっと変わったっていう話ですよね。
そうですね。よりこう没入感高めようと思って頭身上がってますね。今回。
So yeah, we changed the proportions this time to be more realistic. We really wanted to kind of increase this sense of immersion, and I think you'll see that when we get into the game.
Yeah, I don't know if I can talk about this yet, but sharp-eyed viewers probably noticed that both of those pieces of art, there was an interesting bracelet that the players were wearing. I don't know if we can, probably can't talk about that just yet.
喋れないかも、あんまり話せないかもしれないですけど、すごい目の鋭い人は腕輪みたいなものってつけてるんですけど。
ありました。
ありました。For later time, maybe we can talk about that. But I think we've probably kept folks in anticipation long enough. So Terry, you want to jump in and show some gameplay?
I'm excited for this.
待たせてるので、早速
Here we
キー
go.
プレイになりましょう。
So I just want to mention as we get into gameplay here, this game is still in development. So folks, everything you see here might not be exactly what you're going to see in the final release of the game, but I think we can give you a really good sense of what the game is going to look and feel like as we get started.
最初のものではなくて開発中のものですっていう。
そうですね。こんな早い段階で実はライブでも行うのは初めてで、どんなポケモンが出るかっていうのもちょっと世界初公開のポケモンも登場するかもしれないんで、ちょっとドキドキしますねこれね。
So this is actually the first time for us to show a Pokemon game at this stage in development, kind of via live gameplay. So not really sure exactly what we're going to encounter in this. We may see some all new Pokemon that haven't been revealed before.
Oh, keep my fingers crossed. That'd be really cool. Actually, as we get started here, Masuda-san and Mori-san, can you tell us a little bit about the story and the background of what's going on right now in the game?
今ここでちょっと主人公は何をしている場面になるんでしょうか。
そうですね。主人公はですね、アローラ地方に引っ越してきたばかりという設定になっています。で、今回すでに少し進めていまして、最初のポケモンはすでに、もらっています。で、今から、リリータウンというところでお祭りが開催されるので、そこに向かうところです。
So at this point in the game, it's a little bit slightly into it, but it's the player actually had just moved to the Alola region the other day, and one day previous to where we are in the game, he actually received his first partner Pokemon for his adventure. And right now we're actually on the way to a neighboring town where there's a festival.
Oh.
And I think here we can see what we were talking about earlier. Oh, you're just jumping into the long grass.
早速入っちゃうんですね。
誰が
Wonder what we're gonna
ど
get.
んなポケモンが出ますかね。
ああびっくりするこれドキドキする
レディバーですね。
Yeah.
アローラ地方には他の地方のポケモンも出てきます。はい。
So as you can see in the Alola region, obviously it's not just new Pokemon that are unique to the Alola region, but from other regions you see Pokemon.
まあ今回トレーナーとポケモンっていうものもしっかり描きたいと思ってトレーナーが一緒にこうポケモンの後ろにいるっていうところを再現してますね。
And as you can probably see here in battle, you see the trainer is actually standing behind the Pokemon in the battle. So we really wanted to express this feeling of the trainer always being with his or her Pokemon.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that in a little bit more detail here because I feel like there's so much that you've done with the way the battle looks in this game to make it feel really intense and really immersive. I was wondering if we could talk a little bit more about that with what you did with the lighting and the dynamic camera angles
や
here.
っぱこう没入感を高めるっていう話もちょっと出てきたんですけども、やっぱ今回こうすごい演出とか見た目が違ってて、光の表現とかもありますね。
そうですねちょっと時間によって影が長くなったりとかっていうのも入ってたりしますね。
So yeah, there's some cool lighting effects that we're doing here where, for example, like a shadow, you see it's in the evening right now, so it's a bit longer, but depending on the time of day, the lighting will kind of affect the mood of the battle.
I think here Terry's kind of staying still for a second to let us see how the camera is moving around. And this is something that'll just happen for you if you're staying still in the battle for a moment. And you really get a good chance to get a look at these Pokemon and the area that you're in and the environment.
まあこうやって一回、テリー今止まってくれてるんですけれども、まあこうカメラの演出を見せたりとか、まあ結構やっぱこういうかっこいいカメラの演出があって、すごいこうバトルフィールドの全体を見渡せるような感じになってますね。
今回カメラもすごいダイナミックさっていうのを非常に意識して演出を入れていますね。
So yeah, there's definitely some cool. We tried to make the camera feel really dynamic in the battles this time around.
And actually, as Terry gets started in the battle here, I was wondering if we could talk a little bit more about the different changes you've made to the battle interface. I know there's a lot here that's really interesting, which makes the game really accessible to new players. Maybe this is their first Pokemon game, but it's also, I think, really satisfying as someone who's played a lot of Pokemon games. It feels really good, the changes that you've made here.
結構まあベテランにもやっぱこう初心者にも結構優しい感じのインターフェースにちょっとまあ今まで違う印象があるんですけれども、どういう変更を加えたんでしょうか。
そうですね。まあ今回とても親切なというか説明がいろいろ入れています。例えばそのインフォメーションボタンがあるんですけども、そちらをタッチすると今その技がどんな技かというのを一目で分かるようになっています。
So for example, yeah, we really tried to focus on making it really accessible and easy to understand. You saw in the moves there, Terry just pressed the little I button or the icon that's on the move, and you can go into a detailed explanation of what that move actually does.
I think it's been so helpful. There are just so many Pokemon that you have to keep in mind now as you're battling. It's so nice to be able to pull it up, and if maybe you don't quite remember what something does, being able to just pop it up really fast there, it's like you don't have to use that information, but if maybe your memory's not as good as it used to be and you need it, it's so nice to be able to pull that up and take a look.
まあちょっとこの技はどういう効果があるんだっけみたいなちょっと忘れてもらって
そうですね。
できるようになって大丈夫ですね。
例えば今レディバの方をタッチしてもらいますと、今どんな状態かというのが分かるようになっています。
So actually, you can see you can tap on the 2D Pokemon icon that's at the touch screen and see how its parameters actually just got changed because of the effect of a move.
今まで全部覚えてなきゃいけなかったんですけど、これで一目で分かるようになっています。
So as you just said, like a lot of things that you had to keep in your head, you had to remember before, are now visualized on the interface itself.
All right, let's see how this battle goes. Are you planning on trying to capture this
I'm going to begin my
Pokemon,
quest to
or-
catch them all.
Okay, good luck.
全部捕まえないと。
捕まえて捕まえて
Yeah, get it. You can do it, I think.
So just to bring up real quickly, for folks who maybe haven't played a Pokemon game before, battling Pokemon is really at the core of what the series is all about. You're going out into the world with your Pokemon, battling. Oh, this is the most stressful moment. Nice. Okay, so we're able to catch this Pokemon. But it's a really interesting game if you're interested in battle and strategy and in collecting all these really interesting Pokemon that you meet.
レベルが上が
And,
る
and Popplio leveled up. Good job. And it was nice there too, seeing how the level up change.
ちょっとあれですね、レベルアップの演出もちょっと変わりましたね。
そうですね。
Oh, and this is actually something that we should talk about as well. Can you tell our viewers a little bit more about what they're seeing on the upper screen
これ
here?
今ちょっと図鑑に登録されたんですけども、これ
はい
ちょっと違う感じがありますね。
そう
今に比べて
ですね、今回、図鑑の、遊びとして、埋めたくなるっていう要素をすごく、かき立てるようにしました。で白いモンスターボールなんですけども、実はあそこが空きスペースになっていて、例えばその捕まえたポケモンの、進化後か、それとももしかしたらペアとなるポケモンが出てくるかもしれないっていう風に演出しています。いろいろこうどんなポケモンがいるんだろうって考えながら育てたり捕まえたりしてほしいなと思います。
So one of the things we wanted to do with the Pokedex this time was really encourage players to, again, really want to catch them all, really fill up the Pokedex. And one way we've done that, as you can see, there's the Ladybug just got registered, but next to it is a white Pokeball icon. And what that does, that indicates there's an empty space, which means that either it has an evolution or maybe there's another Pokemon out there that kind of forms a pair with it. So that'll kind of encourage players to really want to fill up that empty space, go out and search and catch all different types of Pokemon and kind of complete their Pokedex.
Yes, especially exciting, I think, when you find one and there's lots of white Pokeballs and you're just like, oh, okay.
そうですね、一匹捕
Got a
ま
lot of
え
work
て
to do.
たくさん白いモンスターボールがあるとやっぱこう捕まえたくなり
そ
ますよね。
うですね。お
So
次
さあ次は
Who we got? Oh, nice. One of the new ones.
これは新ポケモンですね。ヤングースというポケモンです。いつもお腹を空かしていて、お腹が減っていくとこう怒りっぽくなっちゃうっていうポケモンらしいですね。
So as you can see, this is the new Pokemon called Young Goose. It's always hungry, so it's always getting hungry, and then so it's looking for food. But whenever it's hungry, it also gets very aggressive.
I love its face. Design is just so
特徴的
cute.
ですね。
I like the
可愛い
hair.
ですね。
I feel kind of bad for it though. I feel like we just throw it a bag of chips or something and it'd be like,
ちょっ
thank
と
you.
かわいそうですね。ちょっと餌を
Always
当てて
hungry.
あげてもいいんじゃない
お
おー
おいい感じですね。
Oh, getting close there.
もう捕まるんじゃないですか。
You'll probably be able to catch this one.
We're on our way.
お
Good luck.
That's 2 down.
2匹ですね。
Yeah, this is
全部
always
捕まえ
like
ま
the
す
most stressful seconds in any Pokemon player's life. Just the
ボールの
oh.
揺れがいつもそうですね。
Nice. And actually, this will give us a chance to maybe take a look at the Pokedex. We've got a new Pokemon to check out. So we've got some interesting changes coming to the Pokedex in this game. Can you tell us a little bit more about what fans can expect from the new Pokedex?
今回図鑑がちょっと変わった感じで新しくなってるんですけども、この今回の図鑑についてもうちょっと話してもらえますか。
そうですね。今回ロトム図鑑というものがあります。このロトム図鑑ですけども、ポケモンを捕まえる情報をくれたりとか、冒険で次どこに行けばいいんだろうっていうことを教えてくれたり、冒険を常にサポートしてくれる図鑑です。
So actually, one of the new things in this game is that we have this item called the Rotom Pokedex, and Rotom kind of inhabits your Pokedex and actually helps you in your adventure. So it'll tell you information about Pokemon that you really want to catch, or give you tips about how to catch Pokemon, and also kind of guide you on your adventure where you should go next, for example. So it serves as a really cool supportive function.
今下画面が黒いんですけど、あそこにロトム図鑑が入ります。
So right here, actually, we're still really early in the game. We don't have the Rotom Pokedex, so the touchscreen is just black on the bottom, but you'll get it later.
And here, actually, this is a great chance. If we just take a quick circle around, we can show off not only the trainer's proportions, but also the movement is a little bit different than what folks who played previous Pokemon games have expected.
頭身が変わっただけではなくて、今ちょっと移動のなんていうんですかね、その見た目っていうか、ちょっと動き
そうですね。
方も変わり
はい。
ましたね。
今回フリーに自由に動けるような仕組みにしてますね。
So yeah, you can move around. It's free, full analog movement this time in the game.
Oh, and we need to tell players what's going on here
これちょっと
when they're seeing the shadow
暗くなるっ
come
ていう
in.
のはどういう意味
そうですす
なんでかね。
ね。今あそこのキャラクターがモンスターボールを投げてるんですけど、あれはポケモントレーナーですね。でポケモントレーナーの視線に引っかからないように、上下でその緊張感を表しています。
So you see that lady over there, or the girl throwing a Pokeball up and down, and so she's a Pokemon trainer, and what she's obviously going to try and battle you, but what that kind of shadow that appears on the screen indicates is that that she's going to challenge you to a battle. So it kind of increases this sense of tension of you're about to go into a battle, and indicates that to the player.
So I can either avoid her or actually battle her.
じゃあこうバトルするか避けるかっていうのはこう
I think we're gonna battle
Yeah,
her.
it feels like that moment where two people are glaring at each other.
目
Ready to
があったら
fight.
もうポケモンバトルですねみたいな。
But it is really nice if you're in a position where maybe you're trying to get somewhere really quickly, or your Pokemon aren't in great shape right now, you don't want to fight. It's nice to have that second where you can avoid it before you just kind of stumble yourself into a battle.
そうですね。ポケモンの具合が良くない時とか、
Cute.
先に急いでる時はもう避けられるっていう。
あ、そうですね。
Yeah, that's right.
I think so. We can see here we're seeing the other trainer as well, and it's really nice actually just to get such a good look at the Pokemon proportions alongside their trainers.
今回トレーナー相手のトレーナーもバトルに出てるんですけれども、やっぱこうサイズ感、ポケモンのサイズ感っていうのが結構伝わりますね。
そうですね。結構そういうところはやっぱりこうトレーナーがいることによって表現できているっていうのが今回の新しいところですね。
Yeah, it's definitely one of the new things. I think by having the trainers in battle, like you mentioned, it really gives you that sense of scale.
And I think from the experience I've had at the office playing this game, it's really going to surprise people when they take a look at just how big and small certain Pokemon are when they're actually standing right next to them.
まあ結構多分今まで実感湧かなかった部分も多かったと思うんですけど、まあ実際遊んでみてやっぱこうこのポケモンこの大きさあったんだみたいなって思うところも多分多いんじゃないかなって。
そうですね。あと、トレーナーごとにですね、いろいろこうモーションを工夫してまして、例えばボールの投げ方だったりとか、まあ、ポケモンに指示を出す仕草とか、まあ、そういったものが細やかに設定されています。
やられちゃったポーズとか、
やられちゃった。
And with the trainers being represented in full 3D this time, they all have unique motions and reactions. For example, how they throw their Pokeball or their reaction when they lose, for example.
アイテム拾いましたね。
So you just got an item there.
I think there might be some more folks we can battle up here.
もっとバトルがトレーナーバトルが待ってるんじゃないかなこの先に。
As we're walking around, I'm hoping folks who are watching are listening with the volume up so they can hear the music in this area. I found it's really great how it feels. It really fits in with the tropical environment.
視聴者の皆さんも多分、聞こえてると思うんですけど、結構音楽が素晴らしいですね。南の国にちょっと合った感じの。
I love how enthusiastic he looks.
All right, Oliver.
すごいやる気ですねこの子。
ヤングースですね。
That's another young goose. Looks like.
And we can see as Terry's battling here, with how the battle interface is set up, it's really easy to just get super involved in the battle to whatever extent you want to be. You've got all this information at your fingertips. It's not that you have to look at it all, but it's so nice that if there's anything that you need to check on, you can do it so quickly, and you still feel really immersed in the battle.
これやっぱそうですね。バトルのインターフェースでこういろんな情報を今、今回覚えなくてもいいっていう話だったんですけども、こうまあ見たいときはもうタッチ一つでこうやっぱこう情報をすぐに出せるのでやっぱこう便利ですね。
ああ、そうですね。やっぱりこうバトルをしていて、まあこいつどんな状態だったっけとか、まあそういったことがすぐこう情報に出せるということは初心者でもまあこの奥深いバトルにまあとっつきやすくなるかなと入れました。
So yeah, of course, it really there's a lot of depth to the battles, but you don't have, for example, beginners, for example, maybe they don't want to, or they won't remember a lot of these different status changes and whatnot. But you can really quickly check on the state and see how things have changed.
I'll say I love Young Goose's painting animation.
Young
It's just so cute.
気絶の演出が今日可愛いですね。
何が出るんですかね。
I always have a soft spot for Pokemon with the teeth. There we go.
ツツケラですね。キツツキポケモンなんですけども、まあ1秒にこう16連打して木を叩くと言われているポケモンですね。
So this is a Pick-a-Peck. It's called the Woodpoker, or excuse me, the Woodpecker Pokemon. I can't even speak, but so the setting of this Pokemon is that it can actually peck 16 times in 1 second. So it's got a very fast beak.
16回というのは特徴だよね。
16回というのは大事。
We're very particular about the number 16.
It's interesting, yeah, watching its animation as it's got very bird-like movements as it's kind of twitching its head side to side, and I think that the level of detail that you guys have put into all the Pokemon animations in this game is really fantastic.
ポケモンそれぞれの動きとかすごい細やかに設定してるという話だったんですけど、キャップわかりますね。これもう鳥みたいな感じでしょ。
そうですね。
首を横に振ったりとか。
Oh no, no, Terry!
Oh no.
まさかの。
Hopefully one of your new friends is ready to help us out. That's a good chance to mention, actually, we did find a Pokeball earlier as we were walking around, and you can find some good items to help you out along the way that can help you heal up your Pokemon. And
まあこの後そうですね。
High
ちゃん
risk.
と傷薬とか持ってるので、まあバトルが終わったらちょっと回復できるんじゃないかなと。
あ、捕まってよかった。
ドキドキしますねこれ。
We must have wiped out there.
let's get that simply way to end the battle.
High risk to catch them all.
まあ
Oh, that's actually your ladybug got a level out of that, though.
まあこれでレベルアップですね。レイリートンが。
Almost another one.
ゲームの醍醐味ですね。
Yes, this is definitely one of the. I think one of the things that really makes Pokemon a fun game. This kind of like sense of tension here.
So, do we have anything we can give Pop Yoda?
I think it's time to go to
Fix
the
'em
festival.
up. Oh,
もうそろそろ
you're ready.
祭りに向かいましょうか。
Oh no. We'll just run from this one.
All right.
ちょっとこれは一回逃げよう。あ、ヤングース。
あーヤングース出ましたね。
Terry, you gonna heal up after this? Or?
Yeah. we'll get healed up.
We'll get healed
I
up.
think before we get
patched
to the
up.
festival, because that's
Yep.
not to give too much away, but there's more fighting in your future.
More fight. この先もバトルが待ってるので、
そうですね
回復した方がいいんじゃないかっていう。
So actually, as we come into this area here, we're going to be meeting several different characters that our viewers maybe aren't familiar with. Would you mind just giving us a quick introduction to them
これ
as
ちょ
they
っとさま
appear?
ざまな、新しいキャラクター出てくると思うんですけども、それぞれちょっと紹介してもらってもいいですか、
はい
簡単に。、
そうですね。今リリータウンに到着したんですけども、このキャラクターが原というキャラクターですね。最初にポケモンをくれるというキャラクターで PV にも登場しています。
So this is Hala. I think it's been revealed already in a video that we've released, but it's a really strong trainer on this island, and he's actually the guy who gives you your first partner Pokemon in your adventure.
すごい強いトレーナーですね。
A very strong trainer on this island.
この子はハウっていうキャラクターですね。ニャビーを今連れているんですけど、この後、お祭りで一緒に戦います。
So this is how, and you're about to battle him actually as part of this festival.
あと、ククイですね。ポケモン博士です。今回は、技の研究をしているという博士ですね。
And that's Professor Kukui right there in the white lab coat. He's a professor who specializes in researching Pokemon moves, so like their attacks and such.
I think based on the fan response I've seen, he is quickly becoming the most dreamy professor, I think, for the fans.
今までの博士の中でもちょっとイケメンっていう評判が出てるけど
あとリリエですね。ポケモンのトレーナーではないんですけども、今後も一緒に冒険するキャラクターです。
And that's Lily behind you there. She's the assistant of Professor Kukui, and she's not a Pokemon trainer, but she'll join you on your adventure throughout the story.
And sharp-eyed viewers may have noticed
回
her
復した。
bag is kind of interesting.
Safe.
ちょっと彼女が持っている、バッグちょっと気になりますね、カバンの方は。
なんかありましたか今？
Was there something there?
い
Yeah.
やもうわからない。
ちょっとね、さっき動いてたけどね
い。や
でまだ言え
まだ言え
ない。
Gotta keep it a secret right now, unfortunately.
動いてたの見ちゃった。
You saw a move. Maybe that's a hint.
I think it's time we go into the festival battle.
じゃあそろそろ祭りのバトルになりますか。
So I think it's going to be really interesting for fans of the series to see this battle and the space. The way that Pokemon and Pokemon battles are integrated into the culture in these islands is really interesting. And you get these amazing battle spaces where other folks are gathering around and watching you guys fight.
このやっぱこう人間の社会にもやっぱポケモンとポケモンバトルそのものがこう、なんていうんですか、社会の一部になっててすごい大切なものっていうのがすごく伝わりますね。やっぱこういう、しっかりしたこうバトルアリーナみたいな感じもできてて。
そうですね。今回このお祭りなんですけども、2人の旅立ちを祝うというかそういう儀式になっています。戦った後にこの2人は島を巡る冒険が始まるというストーリーになっています。
So in this particular festival, actually, this is kind of a celebration or a way to kind of kick off both you and Hao's adventures to kind of travel across the island. So it's kind of a ritual in this society.
And folks may have noticed there was another thing where we can't really talk about too much, but just to mention Tapu Koko
そうですね。
Worth paying attention to that name.
とかいろんな気になる単語が
might be important.
今後に期待してください。
Please report more information. I can't really talk too much about it.
And so how about a Pichu? Who looks
ピチューが出てきました
adorable.
ね。可愛いですね。
今度負けないように頑張ってください。
Don't lose this time, Terry.
Leave it to me.
任せてください。
And here we can see
See what he's done for
checking different effects.
そうですね。パラメータがどう変わったかっていうのを今ちょっと確認してるんですね。
敵の相手方も自分側も両方見えるんで、とても便利ですよ
So
ね。
yeah, you can see both your status changes as well as the opponent's status changes just to really see what's going on in the battle.
So looking at this tropical environment, I'm really hoping that you guys were able to pull off some business trips to some nice tropical locations maybe. I mean, it's for research, it's work. just have to go?
今回南の国という設定なんですけど、やっぱこう研究目的でこういろんな素敵な場所に行けたんじゃないでしょうか。
そうですね、開発のスタッフでこう実際にハワイに行ってですね、いろいろなモチーフを見たり、デザインにも生かされたりしています。
So yeah, we actually took as the staff, the development staff at Game Freak, we took trips to Hawaii to really do some research, and we've definitely utilized that to kind of reflect it in the game. And
I should have convinced my boss that I need to do that to prep for this. To really get this segment, I really need to go to Hawaii.
今回のこのセグメントのためにやっぱこうハワイに行ってくればよかったですね。自然勉強ということで。
Come on, Terry, show us what you got.
That's one down.
Nice.
一匹倒しましたね。
So we saw with the icons as the battle started. I think Hao has one more Pokemon to go.
ハオはあと、手持ちがあと一匹ですね。
はい。
Ooh, and a new skill. Nice.
新しい技を覚えてますね。
There we see one of the other new starters.
これも、
ニャビーなんですけども、一回実はもう見ているという設定になってまして、戦うとですね、一回見たことあるポケモンはどれが効果が抜群かっていうのが分かるようなインターフェースになっています。
So at this point in the story, you see Hao has Litten, which is another one of the first Pokemon you can choose in your adventure. But you've actually encountered, you've battled against him and his Litten once in the story. And so in Pokemon Sun and Moon, once you've battled a Pokemon once, the next time you battle it, you'll get information on your move list about which moves are effective and which ones aren't.
あれですね、スーパーエフェクティブっていうのは効果抜群っていう。
そうですね。So just explaining that, water gun is super effective. Yeah, what it means.
I think I'll stick with that one.
Yeah.
初心者でも分かりやすい風にしています。
So it's just coming back to make it all very easy to understand for even beginners of the games.
Yeah, it really is so nice to have that information.
情報があるとやっぱ助かりますね。
I think especially when you're trying to catch more Pokemon, and you're like, okay, I actually maybe don't want to be super effective right now. I need to kind of whittle this Pokemon down. So being able to remember, maybe you want to use your weaker attacks sometimes just to kind of get them just to that point.
捕まえたい時とかもやっぱこう効果抜群じゃない方とかをあえて選びたいことがあるので、結構役に立ちますね、この情報。
Nice, good job, man.
勝ちました。
I love what a good sport Hao is about losing too. He's just kind of rolling with it. It's all good. So I don't think we can go too much further in the gameplay because we're going to start giving away story elements that we don't want to show folks yet. But you did bring another video for us to take a look at that has a new gameplay mode that I don't think folks have seen before.
この先やっぱ実機プレイを進めるとストーリーのネタバレ的なところも落ちてしまうことになるので、ここまでにして、ただもう一つちょっと映像を持ってきていただいて、持ってきているという理解なんですけども、初めて今回初登場の新しい新モードという理解です。
ポケモンはやっぱりコミュニケーションツールとして今までこう対戦とか交換とかっていうのをやってきたんですけども、今回はさらにこう新しい形でのバトルっていうものが登場します。バトルロイヤルっていうものですね。
So with the Pokemon series, obviously, using it as a kind of a communication tool, facilitating that communication between players has always been one of the things we've really focused on with the game. So trading and battling between players, of course. This time that's no different. We've got an all-new multiplayer battle mode, which we're calling the Battle Royale.
All right, well, let's see if our crew can load that up for us and we can check out this gameplay.
そうです。
So as we get started here, can you tell us a little bit about what the rules are for Battle Royale and how the matches are decided?
そうですね。このバトルロイヤルなんですけども、4人のプレイヤーがポケモンを3匹ずつバトルに出して戦うというルールです。今日はちょっと時間の関係で1匹にしています。
So in this mode, it's actually 4 players. Each player chooses up to 3 Pokemon and battles with 1 at a time. In this video here, we're just doing 1 Pokemon for the sake of time.
このバトルロイヤルの勝敗についてなんですけども、誰かの手持ちのポケモンが全て倒されたら試合終了となります。
So how this actually works with how it determines the winner. So this is a free-for-all battle, but whenever one of the trainers, when the first trainer to lose all of his or her Pokemon, that signals the end of the battle.
倒したポケモンの数と、残ったポケモンの数の合計が一番多いプレイヤーが勝者となります。
And then once the battle is over, once the first person loses all of their Pokemon, it then to determine the winner, the game tallies up each player's how many Pokemon they've defeated and also how many Pokemon they have remaining on their team. And whoever has that highest number is the winner of the Battle Royale.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting what this is going to do for strategy as folks are playing, because generally speaking, when you're thinking about how you're going to switch up your Pokemon to fight another trainer, it's only a one-on-one situation, so you can look at their Pokemon and say, okay, I've got this Pokemon that's going to be strong against this one, but you're worried about two other opponents here, so you really have to think about who's going to fare best against a
Three
group.
other opponents, actually.
Yeah,
That's
it's,
そうですね、やっぱこう今までだったらこうチーム戦とか、あとまあ1対1のポケモンバトルが、多分主流だったと思うんですけども、今回はやっぱこう相手、3人気にしなきゃいけないっていうのは、まあ、特徴ですよね。
そうですね、まあ、今回特徴としてこう4匹いるポケモンの中で誰を倒すかっていうのを考えないといけません。で例えば1匹すごい強いポケモンがいても3人で集中攻撃すれば倒せるといった戦略性もあります。
So yeah, it's a free for all, and of course, you know, you could have 3 people gang up on one really strong person, or you really have to kind of determine your strategy about how you're gonna, you know, which order you're gonna defeat Pokemon, who you're gonna focus on. Right. So totally new gameplay dynamic.
yeah, it is interesting how much more intense it feels, where I'm used to just looking at the trainer in front of me and fighting them, and suddenly it's like, oh, there's 2 more trainers. I have to pay attention to everybody. And folks watching there, you may have caught that the trainers there were wearing different outfits from what we saw with the regular player characters that we've shown off so far. We can't really talk about that yet, but worth noticing.
ちょっとそれぞれのトレーナーやっぱ見た目とかあと服装が違うっていうのはちょっと気になりましたね。
また気づいちゃいましたね。
You got a good eye there.
これあれですね。今回着せ替えが入ってます。
So yeah, you can actually customize your outfits in this game as well.
So we're just about out of time, but before we wrap up, I was curious now that you've had a chance to see some fan reaction for these games. How's it been seeing how Pokemon fans have reacted for Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon?
まあちょっと時間が来てしまいましたけれども、まあ今回のポケモンサンムーン発表されてから、多分まあファンからの反響というのはあるんですけれども、そのまあ手応えについてお話してもらえますか。
そうですね。今回、7言語から、9言語に中文を、増やしまして、特にその中文使われている人たちからもたくさん反響をいただいてまして、まあ、自分のツイッターとか、いただいてるんですけども、やっぱりこう、まあ、ポケモン20周年ということもあって、ここからさらにこう広がりを見せるために、まあ、非常にこうみんなが喜んでくれて、まあ、とても嬉しいなと思ってます。
So yes, the reaction from everyone has been really great. You know, I get tons of messages and tweets and everything. This being the 20th anniversary of Pokemon, one of the goals we really want to kind of for the future of Pokemon, really kind of expand it to even a wider audience. And as I think we've announced previously, in addition to the 7 languages we had in X and Y and Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, we also added Chinese, simplified Chinese and traditional Chinese. And I think a lot of especially from those regions, like fans have really been kind of excited about it and sending me lots of great messages.
And is there anything final that you'd like to wrap up and say to fans who are watching the stream right now?
ちょっと最後にファンに向けてのメッセージということで何かありますか？
そうですね。もう今までにないチャレンジをこのソフトはサンとムーンはしているので、皆さんすごい楽しみに待っていてください。
So yeah, I think Sun and Moon, we're really doing a lot of new challenges for us here as Game Freak. So I hope everyone really just look forward to the games.
Well, thank you.
まあ、自分も完全新作としてのディレクター初めてだったんで、まあ、たくさんの苦労があったんですけども、その甲斐があってすごいいいゲームができたので期待しててください。
So there was a lot of challenges for me, especially as it's the first time directing an entirely new generation of Pokemon at Game Freak. But I think we've really brought the game together. It's really turned into something fantastic, and I hope fans really look forward to it.
I know I'm definitely looking forward to it. And thank you so much for joining us and giving us some insight into the development work here. Folks watching again, that was Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon, which are coming out for the Nintendo 3DS family of systems this November, so you don't have to wait too much longer. And please don't go anywhere. In a few moments, we're actually going to be coming back. Aonuma-san is going to be stopping by to show us some gameplay for a game you might be thinking about, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thank you.
joined us here. We're going to talk a little bit about a little game here that I think a lot of people are excited about, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Before we jump right into things, though, Mr. Ayanuma, I think, is there a message you have to the fans?
青沼さんからファンへのメッセージを。
ゼルダのね、当たり前を見直すって言って作ってきたこの、ブレスオブザワイルド、いっぱい話したいことあるんですけど、もうトレーラーも見ていただいたし、ファンの皆さんは早くゲーム見たいと思ってると思うんですね。なのでもうゲーム始めたいと思うんですけど。
So I've created this game thinking about breaking the conventions of Zelda, and I know that a lot of fans have seen the trailer, and they probably want us to jump right in. So why don't we get started?
Let's do it.
We're going to be showing a lot of The Legend of Zelda today, starting right here. We're going to show you what you can do, and we're going to introduce you to this amazing world, but we're going to try not to spoil anything. So feel free to tune in for as long as you like.
ネタバレなしで。
Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Wake up, Link.
This is a very mysterious place, Aonuma-san.
ちょっと神秘的な場所ですけれども。
そうですね。ゼルダの当たり前を見直すって言いながら、昔いつもと同じような目覚めるシーンから始まってますけどね。
I've talked about breaking the conventions of Zelda, but Link does start by waking up.
Keep that rooted in the tradition.
伝統を守るという感じでいいんじゃないでしょうか。
ただまあ本当にミステリアスな、ね、場所で不思議な感じですよね。
This really is a mysterious place, and it's kind of very.
That is a Sheikah slate. Take it. It will help guide you after your long slumber.
So here we see the introduction of a very mysterious item.
神秘的なアイテムが出てきましたが。
ね、ゼルダって今まで剣と魔法のね、そういう世界だったんですけど、今回は今度は、ね、何か新しいテクノロジーのような感じですね。
So in the past series, we've used swords and magic, but this time around, we introduced technology.
I know a lot of people are going to be so excited to see how that plays out in this game because that's such a great new wrinkle to add to the Zelda franchise.
シーカーストーンがどんな感じでゲームで使われるのかっていうのをファンの皆さんが期待していると思います。
でもやっぱり宝箱を開けるんです。
And he's going to start by opening the treasure box.
宝箱から出てきたのね、服なんですね。
These are clothing items that he can wear.
リンク今まで裸同然でしたから。
Link was pretty much naked.
これ裸でもできるけどね。
Oh, Bill, you can actually play this nude too if you want.
Not quite my style.
僕のスタイルではないのに遠慮しておきます。
はい、OK です。
That would also make you very vulnerable to enemies, just so you know.
で、敵にもちょっとそれで防備力が下がってしまう。
That will show you the way.
And so we see here one of the functionalities of the Sheikah slate is activating
これがシーカーストーンの
this pedestal
機能の一つです。
and opening this door here.
it starts.
Link, you are the light. Our light. That must shine upon Hyrule once again. Now go.
画面にジャンプっていうふうに書かれてます。今回ね、初めてボタンでジャンプするようになりました。
So as you can see on the screen, it says jump. Now Link can jump for the first time.
そのジャンプはああやって壁を登るためなんですね。
And the jump is for him to climb up the wall.
Now we see the subtitle on screen. Perhaps this would be a good time for Aonuma-san to talk about that a little bit.
サブタイトルが画面に出てきましたけども、これについてちょっとご説明いただけますか。
ゼルダってね、今までアイテム名とかキャラクター名がサブタイトルにつくことが多かったんですけど、今回はね、この世界そのものの名前です。
So in the previous titles, we used character names and item names as subtitles, but this time around, we wanted to showcase the world of Zelda.
And I think, especially from that sweeping panoramic shot right there, we see how much of a character the world is, how much of a presence the world is in this. And I know, hearing some of the iterations of possibilities for the subtitle, and you know, I remember the moment when I first heard Breath of the Wild, and it was just like, oh, that's it, that's the right one. It felt so right with this, in tune with the nature and the sort of expansiveness of this world.
このゲームの背景を見たり、その自然の要素っていうのを見ていると、初めてそのサブタイトルを伺った時に、あ、もうこれだ、これがもうぴったり合うっていうふうに感じました。
はい、こうやってね、どんどんね、壁とか山とか登っていけるんですね。
So Link can climb the mountain or the wall, just like you said, you saw here.
で、横に緑色のゲージがありますけど、頑張りゲージって言って、あれが続く限り登っていけるわけです。
So that is the green, you see the green gauge on the left. That's the stamina gauge, and you can kind of see how much he can climb by that gauge.
で、世界に転がっていろんなものをね、どんどん手に入れることができるわけ。
And then there's a lot of items scattered all around the world, and you can take those, you can pick those up.
任天堂といえば。
And then, as Nintendo, we of course have to have this item right here, mushrooms.
We love our mushrooms.
このキノコは大きくなったりしませんけど。
This mushroom is not going to make Link any bigger.
Good to know.
はい。こうやって大きな岩とかもね、押したりいろいろしてこうやってその世界にあるいろんなものにこうリンクがこういろいろアクションできるんですね。
So as you can see, Link can push off big rocks down the hill. He can use all these little items and elements and incorporate it into gameplay.
See already, Bill doing some gathering, a lot of climbing here. And already there's this sense of you're just thrown into this world of exploration right off the bat.
Head for the point marked on the map in your Sheikah slate.
Somebody's calling you, Bill.
So here we get our first look at the map. This circular area here being the extent of the E3 demo that we're showing. This is a high plateau in the center of Hyrule. We'll give you just a sneak peek of how big that is, but I think you'll get to see a better look at the scale of the world later on today.
ハイラルの真ん中に位置しているE3 バージョンで見れるマップは後でまた別の機会にお見せしましょう。
Oh, I got a baked apple.
焼きリンゴですね。
怒られちゃいました。
No, you took a baked apple.
He scolded you.
Oh. Now, who is this gentleman, Mr. Aonuma? Would you like to share with people?
この男性は誰なんでしょうか。ご説明いただけますか。
不思議ですね。
He's kind of myserious looking.
ね、一番最初のゼルダで出会ったのもこういう老人でしたよね。
And in the first of the series, I think you met a guy like this.
He says this is the Great Plateau, and he describes it as the birthplace of the Kingdom of Hyrule.
ハイラル王国の誕生の地、始まりの大地ということです。
もうちょっとなんか遺跡のような感じになってしまって神殿ですね。
So you can see the temple that's very worn down.
Yes, he says the kingdom is in a state of decay.
なんか王国がちょっと崩壊しているっていう。
どういうこと？
So I picked up a tree branch earlier. Currently, it's all I have for a weapon, but you can see very quickly the things that I can do with a tree branch.
でさっき枝をピックアップしたんですけども、これが唯一の今持ってる武器なんだけども、結構いろんなことができる。
そうですね。
And I can.
いろんなことできますけど、そんなにいろいろ火つけたら大変なことないですよ。
You can do a lot of things, but you can't just set everything on fire.
Right. I think we've just seen a window into Bill's play style.
ビルのプレイスタイルが今ちょっと垣間見れましたね。
I picked up an axe, and so I can also swap my weapons out. So I'll switch over to the axe. The axe is great because I can chop down trees if I want to get to some apples.
Use all the resources.
Right? I can even chop the logs that I've cut to get firewood, which I can later use to set a campfire.
丁寧に全部こう紐で巻いてあるってすごいですね。
So it's very nice, neatly bundled up already for you.
It's amazing.
Convenient. Yeah, I think honestly, first time I got my hands on the realm, I spent the first 20 minutes like chopping down trees and climbing trees. That's all I did.
初めこのゲームを初めてプレイした時に、とりあえずもうなんか木を切り倒したり、木に登ったりすることに集中してました。
はい。
I've always been a big fan of the Koroks.
この子たちはね、この世界の至る所にこう隠れてるんです。
So these guys are actually hiding everywhere in the world here.
Oh, what do we have there?
あれ
Aonuma-san, it looks like I've already come across the Master Sword.
見つかったか。
Maybe you found it.
見つかってしまったか。
Did you get it already? Did you find it?
あ、まずい。
Oh.
残念でした。
No.
Sorry.
こんなところにね、そんな重要なものが置いてあるわけないでしょ。
There's no way I'm going to play something that important here.
That would be the ultimate in breaking with the Zelda conventions.
それはなんかゼルダの当たり前を見直すっていうのの一番。
Now I do need a shield, so I think I'm gonna run up this way. As you can see, the world is open to me. I can go any direction that I want, but I'm gonna run up here through the grass. I have a sword, so perhaps I should cut some grass.
草を切って。
ね。
But nothing's coming out.
でも何も出てきません。
これさ、もうリンクはダメージ受けたらどうやって回復するんだって話ですよね。
So I guess you want to know how Link can get life
はい。じゃあちょっと敵と
after
戦って
getting
み
a
ましょう。
damage. So let's try fighting some of these enemies.
Bill has stumbled onto a goblin camp here. Well, he's gonna dispatch them with some extreme prejudice here, I think.
There we go. It's not much of a shield, but I've got a pot lid.
とりあえずシールドをゲットしました。
Uh-oh. Oh, he's taunting me. Oh no, I'm gonna need some health here in a bit.
No. And his sword broke,
壊
so...
れちゃいましたね。
Uh-oh.
Oh, your shield broke.
Oh, there's the
I
shield?
stole his spear.
今回ね、リンクが持ってる武器はね、使ってるうちに壊れちゃうんですよ。
So for this title, the weapons that Link have actually will break as he uses them.
で今ビルも敵からこうやって武器を奪いましたけど、こうやってねどんどん強い敵倒して強い武器を手に入れる、そういうサイクルでこのゲームは進みますね。
So the cycle of this game is that you go into a battle with enemies and then you take their weapons, and then so you can use them as your own.
So perhaps we'll head down and check out some of these ruins.
ビルハートなくなっちゃったじゃない
Oh,
回復
yes.
しなきゃ
Your heart's getting a little lower, Bill.
ハートをどうやったら回復できるかというと
So let's
そ
see
の
how you
キノ
can.
コを取ってましたけどその下にハートのマーク見えますよね
So you can see that little heart icon on the
これはハー
mushroom.
トが半分回復することを指してます
And then it shows that you can get half of the heart back if you
で
eat it.
今回はね草を切ってハートで回復するんではなくてリンクは物を食べて回復します
So this time around, you're not going to find any hearts in the grass, but you're going to be eating these food items, and you can get your energy, stamina back up.
Using that way to replenish your health. I love that notion of really having to take advantage of the resources in the world with grabbing the weapons we were talking about. You know, you're getting those from enemies. You're finding them in certain places and then using the food as this resource to keep your health up is also really interesting. It's a lot of fun.
周りにある武器だ敵の武器だったり
That was
食
brutal.
べ物だったりそうやってリソースを駆使して進めていくっていうゲームのスタイルがすごく楽しいです。
そうですねだからねちょっとねサバイバルな感じですよね現地でとにかくいろんなものを調達しなきゃいけないっていう
So it's almost like a survival game where you have to collect all these items so you can move on with the game.
Nice. So Bill here is executing the flurry rush.
フラリア
ね、あれは今敵の攻撃に対してビルがうまくこうジャンプで避けたんですよねそうするとスローモーションになって敵にヒットを与えやすくなるんですね
So when you get a perfect timing, the enemy slows down and then it's easier for you to attack the enemies.
Looks like I got a new pair of trousers, which I've been needing to pick up. So,
新しいパンツをゲットしたのでこれに着替えます
okay. You can see that there's quite a lot to look around at and discover in the world. I'm going to run past those barrels there.
周りにいろいろあるのでいろいろと探求心というか辺りを見回すのがすごく楽しいです。
Aonuma-san, we don't have a good idea of what's going on in Hyrule here, but everything seems to be in ruin.
ちょっとハイドルが荒廃化というかなんか遺跡化してしまっているみたいな。
そうですねこれも昔のトレーラーでもお見せしました今回のトレーラーにいたガーディアンですね
So you saw these guys in the trailer, they're guardians.
っていう敵なんですけど今動かなくなっちゃってますねもう
And they're enemies, but as you can see, these guys are not moving anymore.
だからなんかその間にこう時間の経過っていうのがあるんでしょうね
So there must be some sort of a time lapse.
So I know a lot of people are going to be really excited about how you're dropped into this world, and there's minimal backstory. There's not a lot up front in this game other than here you are. What are you going to do? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And then yet there's so many hints in this environment about that hint of something greater has happened, and I think people will be really interested to see the story sort of unfold as they play the game.
ゲームが始まってから、どのような舞台設定なのかっていうのはユーザーさんの方でまだ詳しく分かりませんけどもこうやってゲームを進めていくうちにいろいろとヒントが見つかってこんなんなんじゃないかあんなんなんじゃないかっていうふうに考え始めることでユーザーさんも楽しまれるんじゃないでしょうか。
そうですね、やっぱりそういうことが自然とこう分かってくるっていうのが面白いじゃないですか、ゲームって端的にこういろいろ伝えたくなっちゃうんですけど今回はねそういうところがもうじわじわとこう分かってくる形になってるのでぜひ楽しみにしてほしいと思いますね。
So I think with this title you'll be able to learn these backstories like you said Ed, that you'll be able to learn them little by little on your own pace. It's not that the game is telling you, but you can kind of explore and find out on your own.
This might also be a good time to talk a little bit about the art style and just the nature of the game itself. If you look at Link and the world, it's clearly deeply inspired by Japanese animation.
で今このリンクのアートスタイルなんかを見ると日本のアニメに随分と影響を受けているんじゃないかっていうふうなことが感じられますけどどうでしょうか。
そうですねゼルダでいうとね、風のタクトの時にトゥーンっていう表現を使ってそのアニメーションの表現を 取り入れてみたんですけれども、それはねそういう世界が広くその自然の中にものがあるんですけど、それをはっきり分からせるためには描き込むよりももっと簡素なマイナスしていくね、削っていってはっきりそれを分からせるこういうアニメーションの技法の方がゲームには向いてると思うんですね。
So we've used this tune like style before in the previous title, but in order for the players to see an item, to find an item, it's actually easier to use the animation style where you create something and then you shave off the elements, so the users will be able to identify the items easier rather than adding on elements to the background.
なのでそのアニメーションっていうその技法を使って表現するっていうことがテーマではなくて、それをねゲームの機能に合わせてそれを選んだっていうことなんです。
So the theme here is not that we wanted to create an animation style game, but we wanted to use this art style and then match it to the functions of this game.
And you see here the time limit on the demo that people will have access to on the show floor.
Yeah, we were supposed to disable that. That was my mistake.
That's all right. That's all right. These things happen.
What we can do is we'll skip through a few things.
It's an organic playthrough. It's true to the nature of the game itself.
でゲームの本当の自然な形に今沿っているので、こんなこともある。
そうですね。今日体験してもらえるものを生で皆さんにも感じてもらったってことですよね。
So yeah, this is something that the users will experience tonight on the show floor. So.
And I think people saw, that actually gives people at home a sense of how much time people are going to have here. And as Reggie said, nobody's going to be able to explore even just this small area that we're showing here at E3. And that speaks to just how large this experience is going to be. And I think people are going to be really excited to just get that little taste of it.
さっきレジも言ってましたけれども、本当に今回ショーフロアでデモをしても本当に一部の部分しかマップの一部しかゲーム内の一部しかプレイできないので、今の切れてしまいましたけれども、それでどれぐらいの本当に短い時間にどれぐらいちょっとしか見れないかっていうのが、ビューアーの皆さんにも分かった視聴者の皆さんにも分かったんじゃないかと。
そうですね。
But in going back and talking about the art style, the colors are very reminiscent of a type of paint called gouache. And gouache was actually it's a material that is used frequently in animation. But it's also a material that's used in a style of painting that is called en plein air, or in English, open air painting, where you go out into the environment and you sit down in front of the object that you intend to paint, and you paint it in that real world setting. And then, as we started looking at the art style and its similarities to gouache and that connection, we also started to feel that the music in the game also has a very open-air feeling to it. Isn't that correct, Aonuma-san?
このアートスタイルも随分そうやってグワッシュとか使っているような感じのスタイルですけれども、音楽自体もとてもなんかオープンエアっていうテーマにぴったりな気がするんですけども、そこら辺のご説明っていうのをお願いできますか。
ね、どこに行って何をするのも自由な今回のゲームなのでね、あるルートに沿って遊んでってもらって、その間に音楽を盛り立てていくみたいなことが今回は使えないんですね。
So because the players will be able to explore and do anything that they want to, we couldn't use the conventional types of music where we know that where the users would go, and we can kind of get the music more dynamic as the users explore certain areas of the map. So this time around, we kind of took a different approach.
なので今回は、ゲームの BGM をですね、環境音、今大自然の中のこの音がありますけど、それに融合させるような BGM の使い方をしてるんです。
So as you can hear, there's a lot of environmental sounds that you hear throughout the game, and then we try to blend that music, that sound into the game as much as we can.
先ほどから見ていただいているたまに流れてくるピアノのねがあると思うんですけど。
And then you can hear a little piano, sounds of piano throughout the game, I think.
ピアノのね音っていうのはこの 電の音にすごくマッチするんですね。
And then the sounds of piano actually matches this nature element very well.
なおかつ人の内面にこう働きかけるような響きを。
And then the sounds of piano actually kind of strikes a chord in people's emotions too. So I think it works really well.
なのでリンクが何かの目的のもとで何かをしようとしているときにたまたま偶然にまたそのピアノの曲に出会うとですね、ぐっと気持ちが盛り上がってくるんですね。
So when you're playing the game and when Link goes through something, and then if that piano sound happens to come on, it kind of it makes you feel so emotional just hearing that perfect match of the movement and the music.
だって本当の偶然の出会いなんですよ。だから100人いたら100人の人が違う体験をするっていう、それを感じてほしくてそういう。
So the music is our intention was to, because this game it has 100 ways of playing it if there is 100 players playing it. So we kind of wanted to make that that very unique experience for every player.
I know longtime fans of the series, that's going to be one of the first things they notice. You know, there's not the constant theme music always present everywhere you go. And this new take on the on the aural experience is really refreshing. It's true to the game, and it does resonate. It feels really good to play.
ゼルダファンにとっては常にこうテーマ音楽が流れているようなバックグラウンドに流れているような感じではないので、やっぱり今回のBGM に関してはすごくみんな気づくと思うんですけれども、違いに。でもやっぱり青沼さんがおっしゃったように本当に心にグッとくるような音楽なので、すごくこのプレイスタイルに合っていると思います。
よかったです。
Yeah, I'm really happy to hear that, Ed.
Bill continuing his campaign of brutality.
裸ですね。
Yes, I forgot to. Sorry, I forgot to put my pants on.
You kind of rushed
Just like
yourself.
any other day.
So we do have, one of the things that we're not showing in this morning segment that's going to be coming up in just a little bit is puzzle solving. You'll be seeing some of that today. You'll be seeing quite a bit of exploration and the ways to use the objects that you've discovered. But one of the things, there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of experiment with the environment and the world here in Breath of the Wild. So I'm just going to have a little bit of fun with a little project I want to try out here.
後々午後のセグメントでは謎解きだったりいろいろな他のマップの他のエリアの探求なんかもしますけど、ちょっと今回はビルがやりたかったビルのプロジェクトにちょっと今集中して。
集中して何をしてんのこれ。
Oh. Okay, well.
I like that you call this setup a project, Bill.
Let's see.
ほぼ何がしたいか分かりません。
I don't know what you're trying to do here, Bill.
Let's see if it's close enough. Nope. Oh.
Get another club?
Let's see if we can make that happen. Oh, no, not quite.
なんとなく分かった。
Try one
Maybe I have
more.
an idea here.
Oh.
Hey, you live.
I did. I survived.
死なずに。
Well done.
Now,
でもかなりやばい状態なん
that
で
was
But look at your heart, Bill.
that was quite dangerous.
Thank you for joining us for Bill's project.
We have a little, we have a little bit of news. I think everybody has been excited for some special Zelda items coming to Miitomo.
なんかミートモに新しいゼルダのアイテムが登場するということで。
We've just been told that those items will be going live at 3 p.m. Pacific time, so be sure to check into Miitomo today to get your free Zelda-themed items there. We have a lot more Zelda coming up today.
A lot more Zelda.
As we've talked about, we're really focusing on introducing you to the world, the things you can do in the world, how you're going to be surviving. It's really all about the actions and the activities. You won't be seeing so much in terms of characters and story. So if you're the type of person who doesn't want to be spoiled, feel free to tune in all day.
Yeah.
で今日も午後からいろいろとキャラクターとストーリーというにフォーカスしたものではなくて、他の要素にフォーカスしたツリーハウスライブのセグメントがあるので皆さんご覧になってください。
まだまだたくさん伝えたいことがありますのでよろしくお願いします。
There's so much more I want to tell you about this game, so please look forward to it.
Yes, so stay tuned. We're going to take another look at our next segment. We're going to be focused on some exploration. So thank you, Noriko, Mr. Ainuma. Thank you, Bill. Thank you very much for your time. And don't go anywhere. We got more Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild coming up.